Welcome to Uncommon Sense, where ordinary financial wisdom just doesn't cut it. Follow along with Eric Bowman as he provides clarity in a cluttered financial world.
I'm Eric Bowman, host of the Uncommon Sense podcast and owner of Bowman Financial Strategies. Lessons that you can learn from your favorite game show. Don't gamble with your money, and let's try not to turn our retirement planning into a game. First, The Price is Right. We all remember Bob Barker and The Price is Right. Well, when it comes to The Price is Right, many people are thinking about their investments. And in particular, they might have heard the old adage, make sure you buy low and sell high. Or they're evaluating a bunch of different stocks out on the stock market exchange and maybe in their custodial accounts doing some research. And they're thinking, when should I buy that holding? When is the right time? What is the right price to buy that particular stock or ETF or mutual fund? Time in the market is better than timing the market. It is almost impossible to time the market correctly and buy at a special time and have it work out in your favor. We call that luck. And the reason I call it luck is anything else presumes that you can actually predict the future, and we know that predicting the future is impossible. You may have some ideas about the future. You may think something's going to happen in the future, but you don't really know what's going to happen in the future. What we like to do is to be broadly diversified. You invest your money when you want to invest it. My grandfather, who owned a similar company to what I do now, used to say to me, Eric, if that is a company or a mutual fund or an ETF that you think you should have, then you should buy it and get invested for all the right fundamental reasons. Don't try to time the market. One of the downsides of timing the market would be this. I'm going to wait for that stock to drop. Well, if that was the method you used for NVIDIA 2 years ago, you never would have been able to buy it, and you never would have been able to enjoy the appreciation of that particular holding because it went straight up. It never came back down until recently, and it's only been a marginal decline in value. It certainly hasn't gone back to its value back 2 years ago. So there's a really good chance you would simply miss out. So are you smarter than a fifth grader? What a great game show. And what we're really trying to uncover here is how complex do things need to be? If you are trying to over strategize or make things more complex than they have to, or maybe your retirement planner can't communicate in a way that's easily understood, you might want to rethink that relationship. Somebody that really knows what they're talking about can break those items down into understandable language so that you can make an informed decision. Likewise, when you're making that decision, you should be able to make that decision eyes wide open in the moment, knowing why you're doing it and what outcome you're trying to achieve. If it's too complex and you don't understand the investment, I recommend not using that investment. Third game show, Family Feud. I have seen more often than not that upon the passing of parents, if there is a lack of communication about the assets that they have, and then their children are left with having to unwind that estate, that the family feud begins. People start fighting about what is theirs, what they should get, when the distributions of the assets actually takes place, who's going to be in charge. Sometimes we call that the executor of the estate. So who is going to be the executor of the estate? And when children are left with unclear direction because of a lack of an estate plan, that's when the troubles start. So a few things that I would recommend that everybody should do. Number one, I recommend having open conversations with children about the assets, where they reside, the magnitude of those assets. I would recommend even having a joint meeting with the parents, the children, and the retirement planner so that everybody has clear insight into what would happen upon the death of the parents. The two things that I recommend are, number one, making sure your wills and power of attorneys are correct and in place and meet your current needs, and that you might be needing a trust. The interesting thing about a trust that can be helpful is a lot of details can go into the trust that you can't normally put into a will that allow you to control the disposition of your assets after you die in extreme detail. The trust is going to have somebody called an executor, somebody who's in charge of that trust, who upon your death would then have to execute the trust per your instructions. Another benefit of the trust is upon death, your estate does not become public information, so you don't have people calling in trying to figure out ways they can get in the middle and wedge and get assets out of the estate, maybe in an unlawful way. So a trust can offer a level of privacy not found when you just have a will. Another thing that is extremely helpful and probably your lowest hanging fruit, make sure every single financial account you have, whether it's an IRA, a 401k, a Roth, a bank account, a non-qualified account, a trust account, whatever it is, make sure you have both primary beneficiaries and contingent beneficiaries designated appropriately, and review those on an annual basis just in case things change. And things do change sometimes. My name's Eric Bowman. If you like this information and you find it helpful and you want to receive more retirement planning information, please subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.
Investment advisory services offered through Creative One Wealth, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Bowman Financial Strategies and Creative One Wealth are unaffiliated entities. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by any government agency and do not provide tax or legal advice. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. No investment strategy can ensure a profit or guarantee against losses. Licensed insurance professional. Insurance product guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing company. The information presented is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as a recommendation or advice for your specific circumstances. Always consult with qualified financial, tax, and legal advisors.